Hi, everybody. If we haven't met yet, my name is Christiana, and today I'm going to be walking us through a yin practice um, where we'll hold poses for anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes, and we'll really focus on tuning into our breath and harnessing our mental strength in order to support us through this practice. So all you need is yourself and your mat. Although yin can be complemented with things such as like a blanket or a pillow, if you want to go that route, you're welcome to go ahead and grab that. But as you're ready, just go ahead and make it to your mat. And we'll start today lying down on our back. Here you can extend the legs out long, or you're welcome to keep the knees bent, stacking the knees over the ankles. And begin to just connect with the earth beneath you. Begin to turn inward to connect with your inner self. Take a deep breath in. And an open mouth, breath out. Take some time here, just breathing. Whether that's full breaths, pushing the air out of the mouth and the lungs, or more subtle, gentle breaths. Just tune in to how your body and mind are feeling today. This class is all about harnessing the new moon energies. New moons can remind us to embrace our shadows. Perhaps you have some things in your life that seem like more of a shadow than a bright light. It's true that we can be our own worst critics. So today I offer the invitation, rather than being critical of our shadows, can we rather embrace them? Because without honoring the shadows, can we embrace the light? I encourage you today that as negative thoughts maybe come in, can we just remember that our shadow sides are a part of us? Those things that we may deem negative make us who we are. Perhaps, yes, there's things that we want to change about ourselves. But can we do that through embracing where we are right now? Can we do that through an honoring light and an intuitive path rather than negativity and condemnation? Allow your breath to be steady and complete for practice today, breathing in through the nose, and then slowly out of the mouth. If you crave a different sort of breath, you're always welcome to invite that in. Allow the breath to be complete and steady. When you're ready, we'll invite some movements before we begin into our longer holds of our poses. So we'll start by just windshield wipering the knees side to side. Swap the knees to the right, and then slowly to the left. Perhaps creating a rhythm, inhaling slowly to center, exhaling to the right. Inhaling to center, Exhaling to the left. Inhaling to center. Exhaling to the right. Perhaps adding on the arms by draping your arms across your chest towards the right. As you inhale, sweep the arms and the knees up towards the sky. And as you exhale, drape the arms and the knees over to the left. A few more times like this, coming back to center and to the right. And back to center and to the left. As you're ready, begin to guide the knees in towards the chest and just rock side to side, just getting any little wiggles out that you may need. And then as you feel ready, we'll settle into our first posture, Supta Baddha Konasana, or here, supine bound angle pose. Bringing the soles of the feet together, allow the knees to be splayed out wide. Relax your spine into the earth and bring the arms to a comfortable place. So whether that's on the belly, the heart, perhaps down by the side. And then once you arrive in the pose, just acknowledge the feelings that initially come up. How can we perhaps harness those thoughts, those energies, to boost us? To encourage us, and to remind us that these things are what makes us, us. Take a deep breath in, and an open mouth breath out. Signal to the body that you're safe to relax here. And give your body time to open up, breath after breath. If you ever reach a point of overwhelm, either with the breath or the feelings of the pose in the body, and then see if you can calm that down with your breath. And if not, then perhaps adjust the pose in order to find a little more calm. Remember that holding poses for longer doesn't always mean they'll be easier. We'll go through moments of intensity amidst our inner light, amidst our calm. Can we embrace our shadow feelings, our shadow sides, and be reminded the power and the impact that these may have if we acknowledge them rather than ignore. Allow the breath to be textured. Almost a three-dimensional like breath. Continue with the breath. And even the breath can be a reminder. When we exhale, although we may be releasing something, we're just preparing for the next thing, for the next opportunity to receive new life back into our lungs, into our body, into our spirit. But first, we have to let go a little bit. Just as the moon lets go of its brightness, gradually, more and more. It's only to prepare for brightness once again. Begin to notice the sensation on the inner thighs. Although we may have thoughts of intensity, can we harness those and be reminded of the impacts of the posture? Take about 5 more breaths here and really pay attention to what's happening in the mind. As you feel ready, gently bring your hands to the outsides of the knees. Close them together like a book and bring the feet onto the mat. And find a few more windshield wiper-like motions through the knees. Notice the after effects of the posture as you invite flow back in, movement back into the body. When you're ready, guide the knees in towards your chest and roll over onto your favorite side. Take a moment and pause here. Perhaps taking this time to set an intention for today's practice. Perhaps something about honoring your shadows, your moments and characteristics of darkness. Perhaps something encouraging. What can we learn from these shadows? As you feel ready, make your way up towards a seat on your mat, pressing your bottom into the earth. We'll bring the feet into the mat, and then begin to grab onto the shins with the arms. Here you can sit up more tall, or you can find more of a curled variation by resting the forehead on the knees and tucking the chin towards the chest. Take a few breaths here. Deep breath in. Open mouth, breath out. Find that perfect amount of intensity as you grip onto the shins, perhaps relaxing the shoulders from the ears. Transitioning from more of a vulnerable and open posture to more of an inward facing posture. Intuitively, what comes up? What thoughts do the mind automatically gravitate towards? What pattern does the breath resort to? Considering we're not opening up the lungs as much as possible. The encouragement is throughout this reserved-like shape, what can we learn? And that doesn't necessarily mean searching the mind and body over and over for lessons, but perhaps quieting the mind, focusing on the breath, and experiencing what comes up along the way. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Breath comes in, breath goes out. As you're here, perhaps you've gradually, unconsciously squeezed a little tighter or a little less tight. How does it feel to turn inward? Perhaps we're embracing that and squeezing tight. Or perhaps there's some apprehension there. For some, turning inward can be hard. Embracing our shadows can be heavy. Remember, that this isn't permanent. Take these next 5 breaths or so, sitting with whatever feelings are coming up. Can we acknowledge them rather than disregard? As you feel ready, slowly lift the forehead off of the knees. Bring the hands back behind you with the fingertips pointing towards your bottom. Separate the feet about the width of your mat. And then to any magnitude, start to press into the palms and elevate the heart up towards the sky. Rolling the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe in. Breathe out. Take a few more breaths here. And notice how it feels to almost do the exact opposite of before. Transitioning from such an inward and maybe safe feeling shape to one that's more vulnerable and open. Embracing the light. How does this feel? If you're feeling any discomfort on the wrists, you can come down onto the forearms and continue driving through the forearms to elevate the heart up. We'll be here for just a few breaths. Do we focus on our ability to open up? Or our desire to maybe want to be less open? More inward. As you're ready, come back up onto the hands if you weren't already. And begin to relax the legs out long. Just to counter, begin to roll the torso over the thighs and shake out the legs. And we'll make our way to lying down on our belly. And once you arrive, relax the tops of the feet down onto the mat. And we have a couple options here. Sphinx pose can be taken by bringing the forearms onto the mat, creating like the number 11 with the arms. Pressing down into the elbows, bringing the heart forward and through. But not too much where you feel like you're crunching into the low back. So find that perfect balance. If you find that you're craving more intensity, the other option is seal pose, in which we'll come up onto our palms and bring the arms to a diagonal, the palms kind of near the top edge of the mat. Trying our best to not shrug the shoulders into the ears. For some, this can feel great. For others, this can feel the exact opposite. So you decide, seal pose or sphinx pose. For my spine, sphinx pose feels much better. Remember, it's okay to feel some intensity, but not to the point of pain or overwhelm. Once you find the shape that works best for you, take a deep breath in. And an open mouth breath out. The powerful tool of yin is that it's not easy. Holding a pose such as this that takes work is trying on the mind and the body. And we can look at that as a negative sense. Or perhaps we can embrace this shadow with open arms. The benefits the body and the mind receive are incredible. This pose stimulating some of the meridian lines on the back of our body can help invoke a feeling of calmness in the nervous system. And can even go as far as stimulating the organs within our body. If you haven't reached it already, the intensity is here. Embrace that one breath at a time. Breath comes in. Breath goes out. Take these next 10 breaths or so to really dive into the shadows. Perhaps intense feelings are starting to radiate through your being. Remind yourself that you're in a safe space. Remind yourself that you have the breath. And remind yourself that embracing the shadows only prepares us to light up again. As you feel ready, very slowly, come onto the forearms if you're not already. And then start to surrender the arms and the forehead down to your mat. Perhaps drawing your left ear towards the top of the hands, gazing to your bend into the knees and start to windshield wiper the legs back and forth. Turn your head to the opposite side and continue swaying through the legs. As you feel ready, just pause and reflect. Check in with how you're feeling. Check in with the breath. As you feel ready, bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself up to a tabletop. If you're craving movement, feel free to take a few cat-cows here, rebalancing through the spine. Perhaps rocking the head and the hips from side to side. And no rush as you feel ready. Child's pose is where we'll head next. You can choose the knees to be out wide or together. Begin to sink the hips back towards the heels. If you're feeling any pain or discomfort here in the knees, what you can do is use that blanket or pillow that you may have and put it underneath or on top of the calf muscles, and then sit your hips back on that. If you have yoga blocks, those can also work to sit on. If you find that you're feeling discomfort in the ankles, you can always roll up a blanket and try putting it under the ankles for those to be supported. Take your time getting comfortable. And when you feel ready, meet in child's pose, stomach on top of or in between the thighs. And as you inhale, walk the fingertips just a little further forward without lifting the forearms. As you exhale, press the hips back towards the heels. For a more active variation, you might take this pose with the forearms lifted off the mat. However, arms down on the mat is just as good. Signal to your body that you've arrived in the posture. Take a deep breath in. And an open mouth, breath out. Perhaps the breath can be a reminder that we're still in the light. The shadows of the new moon don't exist without the light, the sun. So even in times of shadows, even in times when turning inward can be hard, there's still light in that. There is still power and strength and beauty within that darkness. As you turn inward, take it one breath at a time. And with new moons, at times, we can feel a pull in different directions as we're about to embark on a new cycle. As you may feel that pull today, can you find something to anchor you down amidst that? The breath, perhaps some self-talk, or perhaps actively trying to rest the mind. Continue breathing here in your child's pose. And how does it feel to have the heart tucked away? How does it feel to be connected with the ground? Finding many points of contact into the ground. Continue here with the breath. Deep breaths in and deep breaths out. As you may feel ready, take these next 5 breaths or so to tune in to anything else that you may be feeling. And very slowly start to come back up onto the hands. Lifting the hips off of the heels, perhaps shaking out the feet. And we'll start to tuck the toes underneath. Getting the pinky toe in there as well. And then as you feel ready, walking the hands back, resting the hips onto the heels. Getting a nice stretch for the bottoms of our feet. Again, if you get to the point of overwhelm or feeling pain, then lift the hips from the heels. Perhaps you don't need to bring the hips as far back to feel the appropriate amount of intensity for your body. You can always, again, roll up a blanket, or if you have a block or a pillow, and sit on that to alleviate some of that intensity. But remember, we have tools to help us through times of intensity. Perhaps if we associate these more intense poses, more open poses, more vulnerable poses with the shadows, can we still find light within them? Can we be reminded of the importance of these shadows? Holding here, take a deep breath in. And an open mouth breath out. Taking it one breath at a time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Continue here. Turning inward. Bringing awareness to our emotions. Take 3 more slow breaths. Bring the hands slowly down towards the mat and stomp off the tops of the feet. And notice the sensations that happen after that release. Notice the power there is in honoring the shadows, the intensity, the heaviness. Our next pose will be puppy pose. So from tabletop, begin to walk your hands forward, melting the heart down towards the earth. The more you walk your hands away from the body and the closer you bring your heart towards the earth, and typically the more intensity that you feel. If this feels okay, we're going to take variation of it by taking our left hand and grabbing onto our right elbow. If you find that this is too intense or you don't feel supported enough for your spine, then you can take the full variation with both arms extended out straight. Find a variation that's going to work best for you, or you can cultivate some intensity, but not to the point of overwhelm. When you're ready, take a deep breath in. And an open mouth, breath out. Stay here as you settle into the pose. May each breath be another reminder that we can support ourselves through the shadows. Breathing in deeply and out fully. Now this posture, although it cultivates heart opening, our heart is still down towards the earth. A more grounding shape for a heart opener. Finding this balance of big openness, bright vastness, and more grounding, a little darkness, honoring the shadows within. Remembering that all of these things make us whole and prepare us for brightness. Without light, there is no dark. And without dark, there is no light. Enjoy the moment as you continue breathing into the shape. Can you use the breath to harness your soul in totality? Connecting to the brightness as well as the shadows. And just as the moon embraces the importance of the shadow cycles, we too can learn to embrace. Because just as the moon reminds us, light will return again. Take about 5 more breaths here. we're going to head into our second side. If you find that you need to rest in between, you can sit back, shake out the arms, or perhaps take a child's pose. As you're ready, join us for the second side. Walking back towards puppy pose, melting the heart down towards the earth. Once you find some evenness here, if you took the single arm variation on the other side, I encourage you to do the same here by taking your right arm, or whichever one you didn't get to last time, and grab onto the left elbow area. And then once you settle in, take a deep breath in and an open mouth breath out. When the mind begins to wander, can you bring it back to this moment? And remember, when the mind does wander, because it will, that is the job of the mind. Remember that we have tools to bring it back to the breath, to the sensations in our body, and to what we're experiencing here and in each moment. Continue breathing here on this side. Breathe in, breathe out. Breath comes in, breath goes out. And when the intensity comes about, can we focus on even the aura of the light? Where even on a new moon's night, we can at times still see the glowing aura of the full moon. That very lightly illuminated shadow-like circle. Or perhaps realizing that the stars shine brighter on the nights of a new moon. Although there may seem like more darkness in the sky, the stars shine brighter. The shadow of the moon enhances the shine in other things. Continue breathing and remember that you are still shining, perhaps even brighter. Take these next 5 or so breaths to bask in the posture. Just as the stars shine bright on a new moon's night, we too can still shine amidst the shadows. As you're ready, extend both arms out. And then start to walk the palms slowly back in towards the body. And come into whatever intuitively feels good for you. So for me, I'm just going to sit back on my heels and roll my shoulders back a few times. Then I'm going to wrap my arms around the body and give myself a hug. Going from being so open to now hugging it all in. Embracing myself for 3 deep breaths. As you feel ready, we'll slowly start to make our way onto our bottom, swinging our legs out in front. And then slowly starting to roll down onto our back. If you have a blanket or a jacket close by, if it's not already on, now is a great time to cozy up. Guide the knees in towards the chest. And find a supine twist by rolling onto your right hip, drawing the knees both over to the right. Extend your left arm out and over to the left, and try to get that left shoulder blade down towards the mat. Even if that means your left knee lifts up a little bit. If you're looking for a more supported variation today, you might even use your blanket in between the knees if you're feeling uneasy in the spine. Once you arrive, signal yourself with a deep breath in and an open mouth breath out. As you reflect on the introspection in today's practice, just take a moment to receive the different things that come up, to acknowledge the different feelings, maybe not always agreeing with them, but acknowledging that they exist, that they come up in our minds, in our bodies. And maybe there's some things that come up that aren't our favorite, or that we don't always agree with. Rather than ignoring them altogether, acknowledge them. But remember that that doesn't define us. We are still light. We are still bright. And we are still who we are at our essence, in our soul, created in the divine image. As you feel ready, slowly guide the knees back to center. Take any movements here, perhaps rocking side to side. And as you're ready, surrender to the other side. Knees go over to your left. Extend your right arm out and over to the right. Take a deep breath in. And an open mouth breath out. What feelings arise on this side? Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Fill up, bring light. Honor the shadows, let go. Allow these next few breaths to guide you even deeper inward. As you feel ready, slowly draw the knees back to center. Rock side to side. And just check in with the body. If you're craving anything more, feel free to spend a few moments honoring that. As you feel ready, hug the knees in towards the chest. Coming full circle to when we are hugging ourselves at the start of class. Transitioning through, opening ourselves up in vulnerable ways, both physically and emotionally. But now finding that balance of turning back inward and recovering. Resting, replenishing. Squeeze tight with love. Take a deep breath in. Embrace every part of your being, the light, the dark, the in-between. Open mouth, exhale, Shavasana. Take anything you need here to fill up with comfort. Take anything. Remind yourself of anything you may need here. To remember to embrace the shadows, for they can be some of our greatest teachers. And perhaps it is on that dark night that the stars illuminate brighter. So let your inner stars shine through the darkness. Enjoy the time that is now. Continue recharging in your Shavasana. And listen to these words from the book Inward. There is a tendency to doubt your growth. In the midst of a big leap forward, hold steady and allow yourself to bloom. There is a tendency to doubt your growth in the midst of a big leap forward. Hold steady and allow yourself to bloom. Especially in times of growth, those little voices can come in, telling us to be drugged down by the shadows, feeding us lies. I believe it is our duty to remind ourselves that where there is dark, there's brighter light to shine. Perhaps we can honor the shadows and allow them to enhance our brightness. Perhaps we can learn from the new moon that there's only darkness to help illuminate the stars brighter and to help restart the cycle of brightening once again. And if you're craving more of this time, you're encouraged to stay here longer. As you begin to feel ready, gently transition back. Wiggling toes or fingers, perhaps rocking the head side to side. Taking a full body stretch, reaching the arms up overhead, pointing the toes down towards the edge of your mat. And then embrace yourself, hugging the knees in towards the chest, squeeze everything in tight, turn inward. As you feel ready, roll to your favorite side, your right or your left. And as you use the arm as a pillow for the head, pause here. Take a moment to once again just acknowledge how you feel now. As we went throughout class, we really went between opening up and turning inward, shining our lights and harnessing the shadows, embracing the new moon, and being reminded the full moon will shine again. As you're here, perhaps you can acknowledge or take note of the power of the moon. Take notice of the power that nature has to be one of our best teachers. We'll meet seated on our mats with our hands at our heart. And if this is new to you, how does it feel to embrace every part of your being in totality? Take a deep breath in as a community and an open mouth breath out. Reminding you to not let yourself get in your own way, to not let the shadows define you or break you down, but rather embrace them to help you shine your light brighter. The bright light and the shadows in me honor the bright light and the shadows within each and every one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this practice. Have a wonderful rest of your day.